Okay. My name is Casey Self, and I'm the communications consultant for SOCM, and I am here with Paige Schneider and Kiki Beavers, both of the jump off community in Tennessee, and this is the SOCM Spotlight. So I want to thank you both for joining us. I'm very excited to hear about this awesome campaign that you all have been working so hard on, and it's just been really interesting to read about. So I'm really interested to learn more about this. We have a couple of people signed up who are going to be on the call with us. If I can ask everyone to just keep themselves muted and keep their camera off, that's going to minimize distractions. And if you have any questions, we'll leave some time afterwards for an FAQ section, and just type your questions in the meeting chat. That would be super helpful. And I will admit folks as they come in. And again, we're just asking everybody to keep themselves on mute and keep their camera off, and ask questions in the meeting chat. Okay, so Paige, Kiki, again, thank you all for joining me. I'm really looking forward to this chat. So if I can start by asking both of you the general question, how did you come to SOCM?
Well, Kiki was actually part of this campaign before I was, so she can maybe share a little bit about how it all started. But once word got out that we were going to potentially have a sand quarry as a neighbor in our rural residential corridor up here on the Cumberland Plateau, folks got organized really quick. And so I think maybe Kiki met Adam and first. So I don't know if she could share. Kiki, when did you and Adam first make contact?
Okay, so basically, of course, everybody has, is familiar with SOCM, especially, I'm of that age when I remember it was Save Our Cumberland Mountains, 50 million years ago. And of course, their work, in helping our neighbors over in Grundy County, with the Klaus Hill development and some other stuff that was going on in Monteagle. And my friend Holly is actually the one that contacted me and said, these are the people we need to contact. And so I reached out to Adam, and it was just like, what can we do? And so it went from there. And that was probably September. Yeah.
Oh, wow. A lot's happened since September then, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So I want to hear more about the campaign to protect your community from the sand quarry. But first of all, can you talk about the jump off community? It's got such a great name, and it's in such a beautiful part of Tennessee. So can you talk about your community and what makes it so special?
Well, I guess I'll start. So I guess we're a few hundred people up here on the mountain. We're part of Marion County, but most of the population centers, the large cities, and well, they're not large, but the small cities in Marion County are down in the valley. So we are up on the Cumberland Plateau. We're about 50 minutes west of Chattanooga, about 90 minutes east of Nashville, near the University of the South, if you're familiar with that area. So it's very, very rural area, small farms, small business folks, people who garden, maybe have, 5 or 10 acres. So pretty socioeconomically diverse area here. But Kiki's been here longer than I have and has family ties. So I'll let her tell you a little bit more about who we are.
Oh yeah. So this little I'm trying to remember how Jump Off got its name. I should have asked, but so it's basically in 2 counties, depending on what side of the highway you're on. You're either in Franklin or you're in Marion County. And so we have people that have lived here all their lives, and the ones that can go, okay, I've got kin in the ground. That's how long they've been here. And my husband's family bought this land in, I want to say 68. And my children are the 3rd generation to live out here. And we're close to, Franklin State Forest is my backyard. Lost Coveys Trailhead is just down the road. We're close to, the Mountain Goat Trail. I mean, it's just beautiful up here. There's lakes, there's rivers, there's streams, forests. And, some of us, have farms, some of us don't. Some of us have, my neighbor has the errant rooster that doesn't know what time of day it is, for example. You raise your horses, you raise your kids, and you live here and you retire here, and be glad that you get to live in such a beautiful place.
So having a company come in and want to harm the land and the environment around you all is a pretty big deal.
It's yeah, it's kind of alarming. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And
we have an old, like a pretty narrow, paved road that all of us use to get in and out of the community. It's just one way in and one way out pretty much. Unless you want to take a long detour. And, the road is, I mean, it's got steep drop offs on both sides. There's no median. There's no room for error. It's already a fairly dangerous road. We've had some really serious accidents, some fatalities. And so even something like that, it's like everybody will be affected in this community because of the potential heavy truck traffic. And so it really is, it's going to especially affect those like Kiki and people that live very close. But, anybody who travels our main state roads around here will feel the negative impact of a quarry operation.
Yeah, that highway is it's our lifeline when you think about it. And even, going all the way out to, Highway 41A that runs the other way, Cowan to Monteagle, that's everybody else's other lifeline to get to, church or the hospital or grocery store or work or school. And so traffic is going to be a concern, one of the concerns.
So it sounds like it's a potential sand quarry would be even more impactful in this community than it might be in another community based on logistics and how you all are set up. So we talked about this, a little bit of alluded to it, but for folks that don't know, can you talk about the campaign, how it all got started, I guess, in September? Kiki, do you want to tell us how did this all get started?
Okay, so I'm trying to think, the logical way to go about this. So of course, this beautiful piece of property, this farm, and the back end of it is forested. I mean, it's a beautiful piece of property. Was for sale, then pending, and probably about third, fourth week of September, the neighbors saw drilling rigs going to the property, and people's phones started blowing up. Guess what's getting ready to happen? And we're all, first you go, no, that can't be. Then it was like, oh my, that's happening. And immediately people, just various groups of folks, started organizing amongst themselves. Signs went up immediately, stop the quarry. People started, calling each other, emailing, meeting, setting up meetings, and contacting our county officials, et cetera. And so that's how that started in September. Yeah. So basically, some of the background is, I want to say it was January of 2023, the Marion County Commission talked about what they could do to stop, developments from, and, other things from going into unincorporated areas that don't have any zoning. For instance, we don't have zoning for commercial or industrial, we're a rural area. And at that time, the only thing was that they would have to adopt a County Powers Act. And I'll let Paige explain, a little bit more about what a County Powers Act is. So in January, the Marion County Commission voted 12-2 for a County Powers Act. And then in February, a draft of a resolution was passed out, and they decided to have a a workshop, which happened in March, discuss it further. And then fast forward to September, when, residents, concerned residents from on top of the mountain went to the county commission meeting in September to voice their concern about, about this quarry, potentially coming in. And so they set up another meeting to discuss it. And the vote, I think in October it was 9-4, 3 against, one abstention. So they decided to have another meeting because evidently you adopt the County Powers Act, and then you immediately have to adopt whatever resolution you're trying to regulate, what nuisance you're trying to regulate. And this is very similar to, what Grundy County has. A landfill, for instance, can't be within 5,000 feet of a church, a school, or a resident property line to property line. So in October, the vote 9-3 won. And then they had another workshop. And then in November, the end of November, it came up again to adopt a County Powers Act. They had the resolution in front of them, and the vote was 9 against, 4 yeas. And we just saw our mouths dropped. Also on the agenda, and this is all on the Marion, Marion County website, marioncountytennessee.net, I think is what it is. There was also an agenda item, consideration of the County Powers Act, if they could ever have that on the agenda again and discuss it. And that was alarming to me. I'm like, citizens, have concerns, whether it's about their water or, highways or, their park or, whatever it is. And you can't just decide, oh, you can't ever bring this up again in a meeting. So the next couple ones, I assume, are going to be interesting at the Marion County Commission. So that's a little bit of the background of, how we got here.
So you're still in the thick of it, and it sounds like quite a roller coaster. Paige, can you give us a little bit of talk a little bit more about the County Powers Act?
Yeah, so the state of Tennessee, the state legislature passed legislation that enables counties to adopt or opt in for the County Powers Act to allow counties to have some land use regulations and, regulate what would be considered by a reasonable person to be a potential nuisance, like a landfill, like a quarry, something that might pose health safety concerns in a community. So counties had the right to opt in to this County Powers Act, which would allow them to regulate land use without having to have an official zoning plan, which is very time consuming. You have to have a commission, like a planning commission. And as it turns out, Marion County and other counties, they have zoning in this for the cities, right? But we're an unincorporated rural area that's part of the county. And so we have no protection. So the County Powers Act, if Marion County would have adopted it, would have allowed the county to designate certain, rules and regulations, such as quarries can't operate within 5,000 feet of a residence and so on. But they chose not to do it. We've had a lot of conversations about what happened. The county supported it and then it didn't. And we just feel like, there were at least a couple of things there operating. One is that they started to hear from the pro-growth and development stakeholders, developers that already developed existing properties in Marion that wanted to, people who wanted to be able to sell their land and get commercial prices for it. And also, there's folks in the county who don't really trust their local government, and they didn't want to give them more power, even though they oppose the quarry. There's a kind of lack of trust there. So it was a disappointing, but it was kind of a pretty complicated issue.
Yeah, and never once, we all use, sand. Goodness gracious, yes, but we never once said we don't want, a quarry. We basically were saying, it probably shouldn't be that close to that many houses in a rural community. And, that's the bottom line, really and truly. Yeah, people use sand. Yeah, they do. But, a quarry shouldn't be that close to that many properties.
And we already have one large sand quarry up here, not 4 miles from where Kiki and I live. So it's not like we kind of feel like we're doing our share in the aggregate industry area. It's, we have a large quarry already. So we're already kind of dealing with the impact of that quarry, but it's located on more of a commercial corridor rather than a residential one.
So what I'm hearing is that because you're in an unincorporated area, the County Powers Act would have been very helpful and given you some protections and some say over where this quarry could and could not operate. And so that sounds like something that a lot of places in more rural counties in Tennessee might be struggling with. I imagine it's something, this isn't the first time this has happened. So I'm glad that you're working on it, because I think other counties can learn from you all. Can you talk about some of the things that you've learned so far over the course of the campaign? Is there anything about the law, the County Powers Act, working with local county commission, organizing your neighbors?
I think that's probably, the neighbors has been kind of cool. People voice their concerns. Immediately, no, I don't want a quarry, but no, I don't want a Powers Act either, and I get it. I understand it, and we started, reaching out to folks and, can you help us, find out when the county commission meetings are? Can you gather addresses of our elected officials? Can you help? And people, yeah, I can. And then, some, no, I can't. I don't have time, but, keep me informed or, keep me involved. So that's been kind of cool. Just the way people came together. Normally, you wave, toot your horn or, that kind of stuff, hardly, it's not like you go to everybody's house every single day, kind of thing. And so this has been kind of cool to see it, folks come together and, the folks that, have an opinion, on the other side, we listen to them too. So, because you have to, everybody has to be able to express their opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think we benefit from having some diversity here. We've got, folks with a lot of different skill sets and backgrounds, which has been really handy. We've got a lot of retired folks, so they have time, and have been able to, do research and help, with communication strategies and so on. And, we've tried to reach out, and I think in a lot of different ways, not only using social media, but like, Kiki's fire in the firefighting, we have like a volunteer fire department and has connections with the fire hall. So they've had, been able to have meetings there, which is very central to our community. So, just trying to, I think one lesson is you want to try to, get as many people to buy in and make sure that you're listening to as many voices in the community as possible, because, I mean, there are folks here, they need jobs. And so you don't want to appear to be, anti-growth, anti-job, we don't want anything to change. But at the same time, I think, we're trying to get folks to think about the fact that there's trade-offs, and the one lesson is that, we all need to decide, like, okay, what's worth keeping and preserving, and what trade-offs are we willing to make? Yes, we need jobs, but we're also a 3-county area that's put its eggs in the tourism basket and outdoor recreation. And so, you can't let the aggregate industry come in and run roughshod over everything and then still think people will come here to hike and bike and camp and go to the, to the Bag and Stoss's Hunt Club and what, I mean, so it's just, I think it's really, we're all, at a point where we're really trying to think, okay, how do we rally this community around protecting things that once they're gone, they're gone. So that's a lesson that we're, I think, trying to share with others.
Yeah. I mean, if, your air or your land or, your water, if it's, you got to protect it. It's important, and when the land's gone, it's gone, when your water's polluted, it's, there's no coming back from that. And, so I guess it's a juggling act, this, and, I'm going to do everything I can, to help protect my property.
And we've also had a lot of, great help and feedback and just suggestions and wisdom from some folks that had already been organizing in this area. So I would say that that's been really helpful for us. We've really appreciated the willingness of folks who are fighting kind of their own battles in their unincorporated areas and small towns, their willingness to share what they've learned in organizing and fighting back and trying to challenge like the permitting process and things like that. So we've really benefited from that too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, that was one of the reasons that we were talking about, forming a chapter. It's like, this is not unique just to our little community. I mean, look what's happening all over, little rural areas. And it'd be nice, to join all our neighbors, Franklin, Grundy, Marion County, because we all are up here, and let's work together and see what we can do and try to communicate to all of our elected officials. Maybe we need to change the fining process. Those are the kind of questions that we all need to be asking. It's not just, the Klaus Hill fight, and it's not just, what's going on down in Deckard or, at the park down in Marion County. It affects all of us. So that was one of the reasons why we decided that we should, form a chapter and include, all of these groups and work together,
And that's a great segue into my next question, which is, you are the newest SOCM chapter. Congratulations. South Cumberland Plateau chapter, is that the name?
I think we're, have we officially decided? We haven't even, the whole group hasn't even decided on a name or,
Okay.
get our board together yet, because it pretty much happened last week, didn't it? Yeah, last week.
I think that was what Austin proposed that might work, but yeah, we haven't really had a chance to
Okay.
pull everybody together.
So tentatively named until you think of something else. Tentatively named, but the area, South Cumberland Plateau chapter. Yeah, so that's really exciting. Can you talk about? You talked a little bit about, Kiki, the hopes for the chapter, and in looking at these issues that you all share, especially in unincorporated areas and areas where people maybe aren't asking all of the questions that you guys are asking of your county commission. So can you talk about what, really quickly, what the hopes are for the chapter, what your next steps are, where you'd like to see it in the future?
Yeah, so basically, it would have been nice to have a playbook. We were all scrambling, what do we do? Oh gosh, that kind of stuff. And I think just, how quickly the community rallied. We have pretty much an A to Z. This is what you need to do. And it would be good to, get feedback from these other groups that are going through the same thing, and kind of, put in, here's how you do it. And this is how you question, your elected officials, or contact your elected officials, even, at the state level. And these are, folks you need to reach out to. And should it just be, this Tri-County area? Maybe it's something, that should expand across our beautiful state. You got to do what you can to protect your air, your land, and your water. And maybe that's, that's a long-term discussion that needs to happen, in my opinion.
Paige, what about you? Where do you see going from here?
I mean, I think, everything that Kiki just said, I agree with. I think we share, a kind of common vision that this is a problem that's probably going to get worse over time. That Tennessee is growing. Probably everybody knows that. We, attracting a lot of newcomers to the state. There's been a lot of second home development. There's a lot of need for aggregate materials for development, and unincorporated areas are at risk of being, the place where these businesses decide to locate. So I think that there's a lot of work to be done and raising awareness around this issue. So, I think our chapter and our partners that we've, other folks we've worked with that have started their own organizations, at least having some sort of an umbrella organization or a network where we're, communicating on a regular basis, and we're, sharing knowledge with each other it would be really important.
Well, you all are doing a wonderful job, and it's very exciting to see a community come together for the betterment of everyone, and having different opinions, but still being able to talk about it. And so y'all are doing a great job. If anyone has any questions, we've got a couple of minutes left. I'd encourage you to put them in the chat. And I don't see any questions yet. So do you guys, before we log off, do you have anything that you'd like to, anything that we missed, anything we didn't cover?
Well, I guess oh, go ahead, Kiki.
Oh, I was just going to say, get involved in your local county government, whether you're, watching the videotape on, on the Facebook, or, you're reading the newspaper, get involved and ask questions, and if there's something in particular that, is bugging you, about your road or your, whatever it is, make sure that you get involved in, with your elected officials.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, that, that we keep hearing folks encouraging us on who have been in these battles saying, you can win this. If people get organized, if you really kind of, get organized, hit the ground running, pursue every, strategy that's available, tap into skills and knowledge of people in your community that are already there, and that you can win, these fights against these, multi-million-dollar corporations. So yeah, I guess, just try to encourage people to not think that it isn't something that they can do.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent points to bring up, both of you. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. It was really nice to meet both of you and to hear more about what's going on. Really exciting stuff. And I can't wait to see what's next from you and your neighbors. It's very exciting. So everyone that joined us, thank you. This will be this is recorded, and it's going to be up on our YouTube channel here in the next couple of days. I encourage you to go to YouTube, to follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and our website, alwayssocm.org. There's a calendar there and lots of information about the current campaigns that we're running, and all the great work that our members are doing. So Paige and Kiki, thank you again. Really appreciate it. Very nice to meet you, and we'll talk to you all later.
Right. Nice to meet you too, Casey. Thank you.